Gentlemen, this is Dr. David Kelly here, race director of the Great World Race. We have a lady with us here today who in 2022 won the Badwater 135. However, that was not good enough. She came back the following year, not only retained her title, she broke the female course record, and in addition, she won the overall competition, beating all the guys. Ashley Paulson, you're extremely welcome to the Great World Race podcast. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to chat with you today. And who doesn't love talking about running, all of us crazies that are addicted. So I'm excited to chat with you and just, take it from there.
Absolutely. So I suppose the best thing is we start how you got into it. I know, as you said to you before the podcast, I checked out your husband. I think is your main support team, and he is he has a blog on you. So I got a bit of insight into you there and from your other accomplishments. But if we go back right to the start, because my understanding is you weren't like a high school or a collegiate standout or anything like that. You kind of came to the fore a little bit later on in your career. So if you go back to how you started out, it'll be great.
Yeah. So, even though I didn't run in high school or in college, competitively, I was still running just as, to get in shape. And I was homeschooled as a little girl. And our fitness, our PE was actually either sweating to the oldies with Richard Simmons, or we'd go out for a run with my dad. My dad he ran marathons. And so he was my inspiration there. I'd see him go out no matter what the weather. And it was just inspiring to watch him. And I remember watching him do his very first marathon when I was 6 years old and peeking out the window, cheering him on. And he looked absolutely miserable, David. He looked like he was not having fun. And I was like, oh my gosh, why is he doing that to himself? And then the weirdest part was like, oh my gosh, why do I want to do that someday? And so it was ingrained in me as a kid that I wanted to do some type of endurance. But I didn't do any of that in high school, just kind of like would run, just like I said, to stay in shape. And I didn't do my first marathon like fast or crazy. It was, I was 19 years old and just jumped into it, and I was hooked ever since then. I've been doing marathons since, and I love that distance. For one, it just reminds me of my dad. And I remember running with my sister on my very first one and just having so much fun, hurting, but having so much fun doing it. And I haven't stopped since. I've been in the fitness industry, coaching and everything, like teaching fitness classes for over 2 decades. And I feel like that's really helped, oddly enough, build my endurance. And so that actually plays a big role in where I am today. Is that was a good base for me, even though it wasn't just straight running. It balanced my body a little bit more, teaching all these different types of classes. And so I owe a lot of it to just, teaching silly fitness classes back when I was 20 years old, and doing what I could to, bring in a little bit of income with new babies. I had twin babies at 19. And so it was just kind of fun to look back and see where it all stemmed. And I didn't start competing until after my 4th child. Dove in with a coach to see what I could really accomplish if I focused a little bit. And so that was really fun. About 7 months after I gave birth to my 4th child, I was able to earn my pro card as a triathlete. I loved the long course. I didn't fall in love with the short distance. I wanted the Ironman distance. And so it was really fun to see that it can happen. Even though I didn't run in college or high school, you can make that happen no matter when you started or what your background is. If you're dedicated enough, we can get there, even as mothers, we kind of get this little feel that once I become a mom, everything kind of stops. My dreams go on pause for a while, but we can have that, be a good mom and make our dreams come true in other ways as well. And so it's been crazy because it was never a goal. It was never a dream to become professional as an athlete, but just over time, those small little steps, got me just a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And so I feel really, really blessed that I've got the support of my husband, pushing me to get these goals and these dreams and the desire to do it myself. And we can all get there if we want to.
Have to say, I really like the positivity. If you could bottle that up and sell it, Ashley, you'd be worth a lot of money. Just to go back there, I actually did read, is it true, just to go back, I know you had 4 children. Did you run to hospital to the birth of one of your children. I read that on I think from one of your husband's blogs that you ran 9 miles and you gave birth to your. Is there any truth in that, or?
Oh, there is my fourth child. It was funny. It was our first boy. We had three girls, and my husband was like, "Yes, we got our little boy." And I'm like, "Well, you're driving to the hospital by yourself because I got to run there. I can't miss my morning run." So he
Okay.
just gives me a hard time. He's like, I had to drive by myself to, for my son, so he was really good and supportive about it. But it was pretty funny. I'm like, you're welcome to join me on the run. But my friends joined me and ran 9.5 miles to the hospital and was able to deliver Max there. And yeah, it was kind of a fun story. I wasn't expecting it to be like in the news or anything, but kind of hit and rolled. I was just like, I want to get my morning run in. Why not?
Go away. And Max has to be destined to be a runner now.
He does come out and run with me. It's so cute. And he is proud to say that he ran some marathons and did some Ironmans and stuff already while he was in my belly. So it's pretty cute.
Fantastic, fantastic. And just on that, I know you obviously excelled in the longer things, but I read there as well. You did you made the 2020 Olympic trials in the marathon.
Yeah, that was that was a fun goal to like try to attack because in my mind you had to have ran in college or whatever to have that type of background. And but I just kind of was like, well, what if, like, I was focused so much on Ironman and my times were pretty solid as a marathoner, like off the bike. And my coach was very anti me running a marathon alone. But I love that distance, like I said. So I was like, I just want to try. What if I can? And see. And so finally I just told him, I'm like, I'm going to run a marathon and see what I could run right now just as a marathon. And I didn't ask him, I told him because I knew he was
Okay.
like anti it. And I ran a marathon out, and it had been a few years besides off of the bike on an Ironman. And I was like a 2:48 or something. And I was like, dude, I'm super close to the Olympic trials. Maybe if I, got that a little bit tweaked in and tried, what does it hurt to try? I've got nothing to lose. And so I was really excited to be able to get that goal and go experience that. I knew I wasn't like setting myself up for failure or anything, but I knew I wasn't going to go to the Olympics, but just to like feel that energy of all these incredible women, the best in the USA for that distance, a distance that I holds like a special place in my heart, to be able to be there and do that was incredible. So that was like one of my highlights of my career, was running the Olympic trials in 2020.
I could imagine. So I noticed you started out marathon running. When did you actually get into, say, the triathlon and Ironman?
Oh, let's see. I found myself getting injured quite a bit because I was just running and just kickboxing, and like everything was high impact. And so in 2009, I did my first triathlon. It was a sprint, and I was like, that was just over too fast. I want more. And so the next year, I did my first Ironman, and just loved it. So that was 2010. I was horrible. I mean, I didn't know how to fuel. I didn't know any of that stuff, but I still had a blast doing it. So that's when I really was like, okay, I want to excel in this. This is where it's at. Marathon is so fun, but I get to do that after I, swim 2.4 miles and bike, and then I get to go run and do what I love. Or it's like 3 finish lines. So for me, that was just like a huge bonus. And I still love triathlon. I haven't done an Ironman in a second, but it still is like just a huge, huge passion of mine.
Do you think you're going to do one again in the future, I assume?
Oh, for sure, 1,000%. I
Great.
just don't
And
know when
so then if we
yet.
move on to, sorry.
I said I just don't have it on my schedule yet, but that doesn't
All
mean
right. Okay. I'm sure it's a busy
it
schedule.
could
It's
be
probably
like
hard to get anything in on the calendar at all, with all the plans you have. So move forward to obviously 2022, the Badwater 135. Talk us through that. It was obviously great to win that.
Definitely. I mean, I got chills thinking about it because every time Badwater was one that it was actually one of the ones that my sister, same sister that I ran my first marathon with, she's like, she knew I loved running in the heat. I live in St. George. It's a southern Utah. It's desert. And I was always the girl that would go run out at 2 p.m. and it's like 110. And I loved it. And she's like, Ash, there's this race. It's in Death Valley, the second hottest place in the world. and it's 130 degrees. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that distance is crazy. But one day I was going to do it. In fact, I wanted it to be my first 100-miler. But if you know about Badwater, it can't be your first 100. You have to have a little bit of a back. They have to know that you can complete actually it's 4 now. When I applied, it was 3, 4 100-milers. And so I'm like, well, shoot, that can't be my first. But I thought about it for, gosh, 10, 15 years wanting to do that. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. And so 2022, when I was finally able to toe the line, I am just like, I've got the best crew, I've never run that distance, but I knew heat. And I knew that my body and my mind could do what I set it to. I didn't know if it was going to be 30 hours, 40 hours. It wasn't in my mind to win. But I owe that race 1,000% to my crew. They were just on top of it, everything, writing down every calorie I took, making sure I stayed cool enough, like fresh ice, fresh food, fresh, like whatever, they could see. They were just on top of it. I had my husband, my sister, the same. I've got a lot of sisters. So when I say my sisters, Tracy, the one that, I ran my marathon with, and then 2 of my best friends here in St. George. And that's not a single man sport. As much as I'm the one that people are like, you did so great. Like, that was team effort 1,000%. I couldn't have done that without, having them so on top of everything. And so, they were just on fire the whole time. They're not sleeping like I'm not sleeping. They're going through it, I swear, a lot harder than I am. Nobody's cooling them down. Nobody's dumping ice on them. So that was such an amazing experience. I was able to do it in 24 hours and oh gosh, it was just over 24 hours and barely broke the female course record at the time. And so I was ecstatic and blown away, like, I had no idea, but like I said, my husband, he was just right on track, and he's like, you're so close to breaking that record. You can do it, and push and help drive me up those hills. Like, he broke down that last 13 miles per mile. Like, if you just hold a 13-minute pace, 13:07 pace on this mile, because I couldn't, there's sometimes you have to just break it away. You can't think of it being that 13 miles of uphill. The last 13 miles is a crazy climb. And I'm like, I can't think about 13 miles right now. Tell me what I need for this mile, and I'll do it. But don't tell me what I need anywhere else. And so he broke it down mile by mile, second per second, with the grade and everything of what I needed to help break that record, because he knew how close I was as I was getting closer to the last climb. And he's like, let's go for it. Even though that wasn't in on my mind, but I'm like, wow, maybe I can. And then together we were able to accomplish that. It was really fun. It was super exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine too.
What was that?
I can imagine doing people, obviously, with groups of friends. It's much better than doing it solo. I appreciate it's somewhat of a solo venture as well, but then having all family members and friends there helping out, it has to be an outstanding feeling. And obviously, fast forward then to 23. Were you in better shape coming into 23? Were you better prepared? Obviously, you knew what was ahead of you, but that can be plus, and there obviously can be negatives to that as well. So the last 13 mile, that's obviously going through your head early on or before in the prep for it as well.
Yeah, I think if being in the shape, it was just different shape, because at the 2022, I actually lived in Florida at the time, not here. And so it was just different heat that I was dealing with. And there's no hills where I lived in Florida. And Badwater's a lot of ups and downs. So you start at the lowest point. You start at actually below sea level, and then you climb to Whitney Portal. And so being in Florida at that time, I did a ton on the treadmill, which I don't, I love the treadmill, so I was fine with it. But it's different because I got all this uphill training, but I didn't get any downhill training. And as you know, like that downhill, there's still skill to the downhill and getting your quads ready for that. So I felt like I was holding back on the downhill in 2022. I couldn't get my groove as much. I was feeling those quads a little bit more. And then, so 2023, I actually live back in St. George, where I was able to get outside and get actual hills, not just on the treadmill. I still did a ton on the treadmill, but I was able to get a ton of downhill, just like, okay, you got to callous those quads almost, you know? And so I feel like my shape was different. It was just, I was more prepared. I knew what was there. But I didn't think that I would beat my time by as much as I did. I thought, you know, if I could sub 24 it, you know, amazing. You know, even if it was like 23:59, we'll take it, you know. But yeah, going into it, I felt really good. The confidence of knowing what I was doing and how to keep me cool, and what worked for me the year before with calories, and I had the same crew. So they knew better too. You know, we all learn. That's the beauty of racing, is we learn at every single race we do. We never were just like, I think I've got it all dialed in. I don't anyway.
And what was your final time in 23? How much you take off the record?
I so 22 was 24 like 17 or 7, I can't remember, just past that, and then 21 um 42 or something. Oh gosh, I wish I knew the
All right,
exact.
so you took a large portion
But
off it.
yeah,
Okay,
like it was a good chunk, and so
that's a lot.
I was excited because I was able to run down the hills. Like I wasn't really running hard the year before. It was really good. It was I felt strong and confident and stuff, but I had no idea that it would cut that much time off. So thrilled to break my own record there and to have the same crew to celebrate with.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'd say it's going to be a record that stands for a long time by the sounds of
Oh,
things.
you never know. It's funny, like what can get in people's mind. Like they're like, I know it can be done, because I've seen it done, and
Yeah.
so that could really help. And I would love that. Like if people can get that in their mind, like, hey, Ashley did it. Why can't I? That's kind of how I look at things. Is like, oh, this person was able to hit that time. If I trained hard enough, why couldn't I do it? So, well, it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see how fast it's broken again. So,
It's a good mentality. And just on you were the overall winner. Did you actually know that in the event that you were leading the entire event?
I did. Well, once I passed, I knew where I was from the beginning. I was with a good cluster of guys from the beginning, and kind of slowly would pass them, and making ground. And I think it was mile 108. I passed the first place man, and I honestly was like, even though I saw myself creeping up to him and I knew it was him, he's in first place, but I remember passing him, and he kind of gave me, like, he was hurting, he gave me a five, like a little clap, and his crew was cheering for me, and I was like, am I in first place? But then you can't bank on it, and you can't be like, I'm winning this thing.
You still have another
I
30
saw a
miles left.
marathon
Like,
go,
yeah.
and a big climb, so you just like, you got to take what you can when you got it. And I was like, well, for now, I'm in first place. And I kind of like put my hands up, like, did I really just do that? And like, wow, am I really right here? Now, can I hold it? So it was really fun, because everyone, obviously, we're competing against each other, but we're also cheering for each other. We want everyone to have a great day. And so he was really great to cheer me on. Simon was, like, go get it. So, so from there on, I was able to hold the lead, but I didn't know if I was going to be able to. Who knows? You never know when somebody's going to get a second win, third win at that point, but was able to hold on to it and keep it. I think he came in about 45 minutes after me.
Okay. Still fantastic, obviously. Fantastic performance by yourself. Overall winner, 2.5 hours off the record. Like, it is some serious story. And just on that with your crew, how how, say, preparation for it, like on the day of the race, feeding, how does that all work? Like, have you a set, does Matt adjust on the fly if various issues are going on, or do you kind of have a set routine of every couple of miles you take on food? If you could just go
We
through that with us, it'd be great.
we had it written down. I had it written
All
down
right.
on
Okay.
what I wanted them to give me in that hour. And like, even when I'm like, no, I don't want it, they'd be like, no, you're taking it. Cause I'm sure, it's just like, sometimes you don't want anything. Like, you're just like, oh, it's hot. Blah. But like, no, you have not taken this. Like, this is in this hour, you're taking this, specific things, proteins, ketones, carbohydrates, like keeping them very balanced. And my brain's not clear enough to think what I need. So I had to write it down before, and they were right on top. Like Casey's had, it was hard to keep track of water, how much water I was taking in, because when they'd give me water, I would dump it on me too. So we would just kind of always make sure I had water coming my way, so that we didn't have to count the ounces. Maybe that would have been better. I don't know. Who knows? But it worked
It
really
worked
well.
out.
Pre-written. because otherwise I don't know what I feel like or if anything. And so, and they made me take it. So like, you guys are
Great.
so mean. I don't want it. I don't want it. But it got me to that finish line. So
It's,
they were great.
and training wise, for 135, how does the training work for that? Like, is it a build up over like a 6 or 9 month period, or is it some general training and then in the last maybe 10, 12 weeks is more specific stuff, or how does that generally go?
I think I do it a little unique than a lot of ultra runners, because of my background as a triathlete. I love to incorporate biking and swimming still, and I don't run as many miles as a lot of ultra runners do. Like they like their 100-mile weeks, or every week. And for me personally, that I find myself feeling tweaks, like feeling different aches and stuff. But if I stay on top of my cycling and swimming with it, then I've been injury free unless I fall, which I fall a little bit here and there. That's what happened to my foot. That's what's happened to I've been injured from falling, but not from overuse. And I feel like for me, it's been because I've kept such a strong balance with my bike and swimming to keep that cardiovascular up. So I'll do like a high week on biking and then a lower week with running that week, and then alternate. The next week is a high run week, and then a kind of lower bike week, and then trickle in those swims. And that doesn't work for some people mentally. They're like, cycling doesn't turn over for me for running. It does, but for me it does. And so I found that to work really well, just to kind of do what I would do for Ironman training. And I don't do much more than what I did for Ironman training. I last year I threw in a couple 30-milers, which I went to for Ironman training, but not like what I read from a lot of ultra runners. So that's what works for me. And so I stuck with it in year one, and I was like, hey, that works. And so that's what I'm going to do again for 2023. And that's what I've been doing for a lot of my ultras, is kind of Ironman training. But now I'm always ready to do an Ironman. I just haven't done one.
Ready to go.
But it works
And
good.
just you're saying there, like, so like what would a low mileage week or a high mileage week running wise be for yourself?
Well, which is still probably high for some people, but like low, 60 to 70, and then high. The highest I did was 135, I think, in for Badwater last year. But I was still biking with that and stuff too. So my hours are up there. This is my job and stuff. So, but
You're
a
not
lot of
laxing. You're
friends,
not at
yeah,
home chilling out watching Netflix. You're actually out there grinding the hours out. No, it's
yeah. Or I'm,
ser-
I'm watching Netflix, but I'm just doing it on my treadmill or my trainer.
yeah. No, it's very impressive. And your focus would, just you referenced there, would be a long run of 30 miles. Would that be the longest you would go in the build up to these events?
That's the longest I went. Yeah. I think I did a 35-miler last year, and that was together. But I've done a lot of days that they're broken, like a 15-mile in the morning and then 15 at night. I did a few of those, not a lot, I guess, but a few of those, just to kind of get my legs, get them a little heavy, and then go ride. So one of my very favorite workouts is actually like to do like a 3-hour bike and then a 10-mile run, and then a 3-hour bike and then a 10-mile run. So it's a long day, but it's still
That is a
not
long day.
those
Yeah.
miles on just the pounding of my legs. Some people go out and do the trails for that long. I'm like, great if that works for you, but for me, I would get myself injured, I feel. So that's something I would do, once a week. Well, I guess probably every other week I would do that workout. So it was one that just flew by for
No,
me.
it's
Even
good. Yeah, it's very good insight. And you just actually referenced there injury wise. I know you had surgery back in November. Now, to say the least, you have had a rapid recovery. So if you could
Yes.
just maybe go through, the surgery, what happened, and then, as I said, the rapid recovery afterwards is pretty motivating to anyone out there
Or
getting
the
back.
doctors are going to hate me for telling people that what I did, like, great.
Absolutely, no, they are absolutely, yeah. There's no question.
Yeah,
It's not going to be advised in any textbook going forward, but I suppose every individual is unique. So,
exactly. Exactly. I've always been quick to heal. I think part of that is because of my lifestyle. I'm breaking my body down every single day, and it knows it's going to have to do it again tomorrow. So even after C-sections with my babies and stuff, like, I felt really good really fast. Never took any like pain meds for that. Like, I feel good. So in October, I took a nasty fall running down a mountain with a heavy pack on, and I ended up with like my heel underneath my armpit, sprawled out in the splits, and it completely shred my tendon in my foot. And when I got back, I was actually in New Zealand at the time. When I got back, the doctor was like, okay, yes, you tore your tendon. It'll probably be a scar about this big to reconnect them. But when he got in there, he's like, we could not find that tendon for the life of us. He had to keep cutting from my big toe all the way up my shin, kept going. And he's like, I had to put a cadaver tendon in there. And so I've got a really cool scar. I love scars. It's like probably like 8-9 inches long on my foot from that. And he was nervous to put me in a boot. I was in a hard cast for a little while, but he's like, I'll put you in a boot because I know you want to cycle. I cycled the day after surgery, just in a big fat boot. And, I just like to move. That's just, blood flow is good. And then I tested my limits on it and was like, let me see what a shoe feels like. And so I was probably running way faster than he had anticipated. But he was also, he's one of my friends. And so I would text him all the time, be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm doing. This is, and he's like, if there's no pain, he obviously wasn't going to say, I give you permission, because then he could be liable if something went wrong. But he's like, I can't say you can do that, but if it's not hurting, kind of give me that silent wink, of like, go for it. And he checked on me a lot and was like, everything is healing amazing. In fact, like, he can't believe how fast the blood flow took over that cadaver tendon. It usually takes, he says, up to a year, and I've got complete blood flow. And so my body just responded really well to that. So I feel very blessed that I was able to ride right away, and then be able to run shortly after. Not strong or like anything fast, but there was a good month that I was just on my treadmill, keeping everything super flat, super controlled, and was able to do that and felt really fantastic. In fact, the thing that took the longest to do was swim, because I couldn't point my foot because of that new cadaver tendon. So what you think would work the fastest was the slowest for me to get back into doing was the swim. I just barely started getting back into swimming. So
Yeah, I think you've ran 200-mile races since the surgery in November. So I'd say swimming was definitely on the back foot there. Can you go through us them very quick? Was one you were saying one of them was in December, a couple of weeks later?
yeah, well, it was about 7 weeks later. It was
Oh, 7 weeks later, okay.
yeah, my surgery was the beginning of November, and this was on December 31st. I did across the years 100-mile, which is a very flat course. So I felt safe doing it, and I was able to actually break the course record there. So I was excited that my body was ticking good, and I had zero swelling on my ankle, which of course I flat out was like, if I need to stop, I stop. It's not worth an injury. I don't stop because of certain pains, but there are certain pains that I will stop for. And so I felt very blessed to be able to have zero swelling and feel really good with that one. And since I felt really good with that one, I signed up for another one that day. For a few weeks later, in Las Vegas, I did the Jackpot 100 just a few weeks ago, and it was a great course.
Another victory.
Yeah, I was excited to be able to take the win home on that one. And so I feel pretty confident that my endurance is coming back strong, if not stronger. That mentality and stuff, and being set back for a little while just kind of gives you that little extra fire under your butt to go, what else can I do? Now I'm able to do it again. If it's taken away from you for a little while, you get so excited to get it back, So I feel very, very blessed to have a strong body this shortly after surgery.
No, it's great. And obviously we can move on to you're doing the Great World Race in October. We're obviously excited to have you on board. It's obviously going to be great. It's going to be great having you on board. It's going to be a great event. What's your thoughts? What's your preparation like?
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure you have lots of thoughts.
This is a dream race for me. So to be able to do, I'm getting chills again, because like I said, marathon is a passion distance for me. I love it all. But marathon is like that 26.2. There's something about it. And to be able to go attack it on every single continent in a week is just, it doesn't feel like that's really happening, I'll be honest. But I've been prepping for it. I've got some good goals for that one. I'm teaming up with iFit on that to get out there, and we're kind of doing a good build up to it with our members. I'm going to be able to do Boston Marathon, and then they're flying me right out to London as the opener of like, hey, the training is beginning. There's 2 marathons on 2 continents in the 7 days, and then we're going to build. Obviously, we're not going to like build on continents. I wish that'd be cool, but from there, I'm going to be hitting a few more ultras this summer to be able to prepare for that. And then as we get a little closer, I'll test my body on the marathon distance a few times a week, just like either on the treadmill, very controlled paces and stuff, to be able to build up my fitness a little bit more so that I can do this, not just finish it. I want to be able to actually, the goal is to be able to break the record on that for the women. So we'll see how the body plays out. I'm going to go out there and have fun and smile through it. But you got to have some goals with it as well. So.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, and I think, yeah, you're definitely going to be a good candidate to break the record. It's I think the record currently is 3:24:57. So
I need to
yeah,
write
I think
that.
I'll have to just check that for you, but I think that is the record at the moment, so it'll be good. And have you done actually just from a multi-day, have you done many multi-day races, or has it all been kind of 100-mile? I appreciate the 100 miles, 135 miles often go into over a day.
Yeah. But for race wise, no, I haven't. I have done like just on my own, like a couple marathons in a week, just that distance, just because I've got some friends that we love to be like, hey, should we hit 3 marathons this week? The distance. So, but multi-day events, this is going to be the first like that. So another first. There's something nerve-wracking about that, but something so exciting too. So, and not just multi-day, but we're traveling too.
Yeah, there's
Like,
obviously the added to it. Yeah.
yeah, that's going to add a little bit of different, like, play on the body. So that's all really, really scary, but that's what excites me, is being a little nervous and the unknown and trying something new. So
No, it's great. Just to confirm, sorry, the record is 3:25:57. I think I said 3:24 there.
you did. Okay, so I got
Yeah.
another minute.
You
Okay,
have
three.
another minute, so it's easy
Oh,
game.
yeah,
No
drop the mic
problem.
now.
No problem. And actually, just to further there with your collaboration with iFit. So I know you said you're a trainer as well. So is that what your role is with them, kind of doing projects with them from a training point of view?
Yeah, so with iFit, what we do is we've got access on the Nordic Track, the Proform, and the Free Motion machines, those treadmills or bikes that you'll see at like the gyms or whatever. So what we do a lot of the time is actually go to different locations. Say, gosh, they just sent me to Canada for a few weeks, and we did a mountain biking series. And so there's a camera following me, and it brings the grade up, brings the grade down as I'm doing it. So the member at home is actually feeling that. They're experiencing that. They're not like, I'm not like, hey, now bring your own grade up. Their machine automatically does it. As I'm going up, they're going up too. So it's kind of a fun experience for people that, if they're not able to travel, or they're just like, I don't know if I'd want to go there, but after seeing something in Japan, they're like, I know I need to go there. And then they're getting a workout too. So I do projects like that. So this is kind of a unique project with iFit, because we're not going to be filming it for the treadmills. We're just going to be showing them the experience, showing the members an experience of what I'm doing. And the members get really excited about that too, because there's a relationship with the members and the trainers, and I don't get to know them as much as they get to know me, because obviously I'm behind the camera, but they get really excited to see stuff like this. So iFit's really excited to jump on board and see how we attack this together and explode it out to the community of the people that are running on their treadmills. If I could talk, they're not running on their bikes, riding their bikes, running on their treadmills. So it's a unique project for iFit. So I'm really thrilled they were on board to do this. I pitched it to them a couple months ago, and they're like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, oh, really? So I'm excited to see how it all ties together on their end, what they're really thinking. But I just know they're like, you focus on your training and getting that goal, and we'll take care of the rest. So
Perfect. Well, listen, Ashley, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we'll be talking in the coming weeks and months again, and I look forward to it. And hopefully, I'll hit you up for a bit of a run in Utah. Notably, my run will be notably shorter than all the runs you're doing at the moment, but we'll do something together.
I would absolutely love that. Please come explore my backyard. It's gorgeous here.
Ashley, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, David. It was great chatting with you.
Much appreciated.
Bye.